I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max for 2 months now, and I'm now even more convinced that this has been the single best iPhone to upgrade to in years, and that's based on my own experience of using the new features and changes in the real world instead of just looking at the specs on paper. So in this video, I'm gonna go through the features that I've actually been using day to day, which should ultimately help you decide if you should upgrade or wait another year. So let's get right into it. First of all, I would not recommend this titanium blue color because it gets fingerprints all over it. Now, it's not as bad as the previous stainless steel model, but it definitely does. And I already have this little scratch on the paint, which is very noticeable. So with that said, I do recommend the natural titanium because you're not gonna be seeing those scratches and there's a lot less fingerprints. The new rounded edge design is absolutely amazing. It feels so nice in your hands and it's a massive upgrade in terms of hand feel compared to the previous design because it no longer digs into my palm anymore. The new USB-C port has been awesome, especially now that I can share my charging cable with Android folks or basically any other devices, which is really cool. And I do have the new USB-C charge key from Nomad on my keychain, which means I always have a charging cable with me no matter what. I've already used USB-C in the real world to play games on my huge projector and also to run my Peltier phone cooler, so it's nice to see it supports so many different devices. But other than those two occasions, I haven't really been taking advantage of USB-C that much, but I can see a lot of people making much better use of it for working with files, editing videos, or anything like that. And now that it's been over a year with the dynamic island, I now believe that it was an excellent choice moving forward into the future because right now, a lot of different apps are starting to take advantage of it, like when you're going on a flight and you always have your info there. It's extremely useful, and for navigation, it's just been great. And with that said, let's move on to something that's been a bit of a hit or miss in terms of my personal use, which is the action button. Yes, it's cool and all, and I was very hyped for this when Apple showed it off, but I honestly haven't really been using it that much. But before I explain what I mean, I've gotta show you guys this, the new MagSafe Stash Stand Case from our sponsor ESR. It's basically a do-it-all stand case, making it easy to watch, scroll, use MagSafe, and carry, with ESR's original and patented stand design that's built into the camera bump itself, allowing full MagSafe support with a thinner flush back for faster charging with 1500 Gs of holding force while giving your phone military-grade drop protection with the Air Guard corners. They also have their Cloud series, which uses premium soft silicone for a better feel and enhanced grip with 5 layers of multi-level protection and strong MagSafe magnets. ESR has their Armorite screen protector with Armorite triple protection, which passed their 110-pound pinpoint force test, a 10,000 times scratch test, and a 4-foot ball drop test, and it's even micro curved for total protection, and it comes with individual HD lens protectors as well. And you can order them today by using the link below to get 50% off for ESR's Black Friday sales event. I initially set the action button on the new 15 Pro Max to open my camera app, but I realized I kept opening it the traditional way instead, so I ended up recently switching it to open the Tesla app to preheat my car now that it's freezing cold outside, and I noticed that I've been constantly using it, so it's actually quite useful in the real world. But this isn't a make it or break it feature, so don't count this into your buying decisions because it's not that big of a deal. Now, the battery life has been simply incredible after the first couple of software updates. It lasts noticeably longer than my old 14 Pro Max, and it just seems to be able to hold the battery well even while using GPS and other tasks that eat up the power. Probably because the 5G modem is so much more efficient this year. And speaking of 5G, it's been noticeably better than it was before because we were camping at our campsite all summer and I noticed a huge improvement In September, when I got the 15 Pro Max, right away I noticed better cell service, even being able to make calls and use Twitter reliably without needing Wi-Fi. My 14 Pro Max couldn't even make calls and the internet wasn't as good. Now this past weekend we also went out to chill at the same campground with some guys from the family in a rented sauna bus, and my service was just fine, so it's a massive real-world improvement to no longer have issues anymore. I also noticed that whenever I leave my house, it switches from Wi-Fi to cellular much more quickly and without issues like I did last year, where there'd be maybe a 20 to 30 second delay without having internet, which was extremely annoying, and that now seems to be completely gone. Now with that said, the new 15 Pro Max also has a couple of really nice quality of life improvements. Like for example, it does have thinner bezels, which just look so much better. It just feels more immersive, and it's a really nice bonus to have. On top of that, the new earpiece speaker is now super thin, barely noticeable in the bezel, and this is a big deal because the previous 14 Pro Max earpiece speaker was quite big and noticeable, and you could actually see specks of dust getting stuck in the speaker grill, and it bugged the crap out of me. So that issue is now gone, and I do want to say that the speakers are louder and they sound better overall, and that's also a really nice bonus because I actually like to listen to the Bible app and YouTube videos while in the shower, so it's loud enough to kind of overpower the noise of the water. Moving on to performance, the new A17 Pro chip actually turned out to be better than I thought, and it seems very efficient, and all of the overheating issues have now gone away, which I was really disappointed about in the beginning, but it's now really good. I did do some gaming testing, and surprisingly, I experienced basically no display dimming at all when I tested in this office, which was actually shocking because the previous 14 Pro Max would dim after only 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay, and now it's basically gone, even at full brightness, which is crazy. And I know that might be because of the new, more efficient display driver, but whatever it is, I'm very happy about it. And now let's get into the last point I gotta talk about, which is the cameras. This is probably the best year for camera upgrades in many years, with changes on multiple fronts that have greatly improved both the camera quality and the convenience by adding more options. First of all, this phone now takes 24 megapixel photos standard, which looks so much more sharp, especially when zooming in, and the same 24 megapixel feature now comes to portraits as well, which is so important to me because I take a lot of portrait photos. Now last year, we did get the 48 megapixel camera, but that was only available in regular main photo mode. It did not work in portraits, so this is a massive upgrade for me. We've also got Smart HDR5, which makes the photos look a lot better, a lot more natural, and it's less noticeable that it was taken on a smartphone instead of a professional camera. It just looks a lot better. There's also the new portrait focus mode, which allows you to adjust the blur afterwards when you're editing it, which is a lifesaver because sometimes it just doesn't hit the blur right, so you can move it around. It's just incredible. We also have the noticeable improvements in low light and selfie image quality. It turns out a lot better, less noise. It's just a great improvement for low light and night mode as well. But most of all, the new 5X camera has been incredible, fun, and so useful. In my real world use case, I've already been using it a bunch of times naturally for zoom shots to get a closer view of things with a very unique focal length. I've also used it for video recording of subjects further away, like when we went to Monster Jam and recorded this awesome close-up footage. And surprisingly, the stabilization is incredibly good considering the fact I was holding it handheld, I had my kids around me. It just turned out so good. The unique focal length itself makes it seem like it was recorded on on a Pro camera, drastically changing how it looks, which has made it easier for me to record sponsored videos at home without all of the video clips looking so similar now that we have the new 5x zoom with the longer focal length. Overall, I'm extremely happy with this upgrade, more so than my previous 14 Pro Max, and that actually says a lot. So I would personally recommend people to upgrade now, specifically to the 15 Pro Max model for that 5x camera. But do keep in mind that next year, the Pro model iPhones are gonna be larger with 6.3 and 6.9 inch sizes, which means that the smaller one is gonna be getting the 5x camera, and they both should be getting even bigger batteries, so keep this in mind if you're thinking about waiting. So with all that said, hopefully you enjoyed this 2-month review, and if you did, go ahead and click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one, and definitely check out one of those two right over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.